We did a lot of mistakes in the past, and most of us wish that we didn't do that thing. We hadn't gone there. We didn't speak to that person in that way. We wasn't so reckless about our health so that we would not get injured in the training. We would study our ass more so that we could be more successful in our schools and have a better job at the end. We wish that we have taken that business opportunity where we could have earned a lot of money, but we didn't because we were afraid. We made a lot of mistakes, and most of us would say that they wish they didn't do any of those and they would erase them if they had a chance. But if I asked you honestly, and if you honestly answered my question, would you actually delete all of your mistakes and as a result all of the things that unwinded after your mistake, whether positive, whether negative, would you actually take your mistakes back and all of the things resulting from that mistake? Would you actually do that? Because when I ask that question to myself, my answer is almost always no. Because without my mistakes, would I actually be me? I don't think so. Maybe I wouldn't have started this YouTube channel if I erased all my mistakes. Maybe I wouldn't be a medical school student, which I'm very proud to be. Maybe I wouldn't have my relationship, which I'm very happy in right now, if I didn't make those mistakes. Because all of them actually shaped who I am. And isn't that what we live for anyways? Shaping who we are? Because that's the only thing that you can do. That's the only thing that's in your control in this whole world, is to shape who you become. And if you have taken all of your mistakes back, seriously, would you have yourself left? Would you be the same person? I don't think so. It's like swapping characters with a completely different person. Changing your whole life, basically. I wouldn't do that for myself. And there is something that I also realized. In our lives, we always chase for something better. We chase something with a greater value. That's the meaning of life, basically, for all of us. Of course, we need to take some stops here and there, but most of the times we are always striving for something better. And the road to better is not something that you can go through without being scratched, without being bent, without being tested deeply to your bones. Our meaning from life comes from striving for something of a greater value. And do you believe that it's possible that you can achieve that life without being scratched, bent, without being tested, without actually making some mistakes? I don't think so. When you look at the most successful people on the internet, whatever, it doesn't matter who they are, we can dismantle their success easily by saying, oh, they're lucky, or the God was with them, or they did it by chance. However, when you look at these people, most of them are usually the ones who have been broken the most, who have made the most mistakes. Imagine in your life, you probably have someone in your life where you think they could be doing better. Now, ask yourself, are they doing more mistakes than you or less? I would go ahead and make a guess that you are making more mistakes because you're doing better. Because that's the cost of striving for better. That's the cost of living, the meaning. That's the cost of it. If you're striving to improve, if you're striving to learn, if you're striving to have a more valuable life, of course you're going to make mistakes. And these will shape who you are. And if you have had the chance to take back all of your mistakes, all of the wrong things that you have did in your life, firstly, you would have taken most value out of your life. Congratulations. Because you would have taken many of the most important lessons in your life that you have learned away from yourself. So you would be much more naive. And would being naive help you live a better life? I don't think so. So you would have taken the value out of your life. Secondly, you would have taken your character away from yourself. You wouldn't be you anymore. Congratulations. You have worked all these years to rebuild yourself, to find yourself, and you would have just taken all of those away from yourself if you had the chance. Congratulations. So we must understand that mistakes, just like uncertainty, is again something that is essential. I'm not saying it's good, it's bad. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that it's essential. Because many of the most unforgettable lessons that you learn and you actually shape your character with, those lessons come from mistakes. Yesterday, I was involved in a car accident because of my stupid driving, reckless driving, and I could have died. It was serious. It was a serious accident. Other people could have been hurt, and it's hard to say, but other people could have died as well. It's really hard to say this, but it could have happened. It was a really bad accident, and it is probably one of the biggest mistakes I have ever done in my life, and I am deeply ashamed. I've caused a lot of worries for those people, for my family, and also some financial struggles because the car is ruined as well. It cost a lot, and it could have costed a lot more. So I'm grateful that everybody's who's involved in the accident, including me and the other people, they are all fine. I'm grateful for that. However, this mistake, even though how ashamed I am, how bad I feel because I did this mistake, I could have ruined lives, knowing that I literally, it eats me alive. Like, how could I have done something like this? But I can't deny the fact that it has taught me as some kind of an unforgettable lesson. And I couldn't have learned this in any other way. At least I couldn't have learned this better in any other way. And because of this lesson that was taught to me by this horrible incident, now in the future, maybe my kids won't do the same. Because if my kids make the same mistake, they might not be as lucky as me. Or if in the future my wife would make the same mistake, she might not be as lucky as me. And because I have this lesson, I will make sure that none of these things I mentioned right now will happen. I will make sure that they won't happen. So stop wishing that you haven't done this or that. Own your mistake and move on with your life. It's not really easy to make a generalized comment about this. Of course, some mistakes can be very horrible, but unfortunately they make us us. They make us who we are. And if you had taken them back, you would have taken yourself back as well. You wouldn't be yourself anymore.